Just a little update. I bought this Mazda last week from Kent for 600 quid complete. Now I bought it just for the gearbox. It had a 6-speed for my conversion, and I bought, like I say, I bought it for 600 quid, and the plan was to take the gearbox out and break it for the rest of the parts, and the mission was to try and get me money back at least and break even, so I didn't have to pay nothing for the gearbox, which has worked out quite well. We've busted it up. We listed that on Facebook, and you can see that it's pretty much stripped down to a bare shell now. We sold the engine, we sold the front seats and the interior, a few little bits like sun visors and trims to go with, which all adds up. We sold the wheels and the rear subframe assembly with differential. Someone had an accident last week and clipped the rear wheel, and it bent the subframe and the arms, so we sold him the subframe assembly. We've sold a light, we've sold a boot lid, the amplifier for the Bose system. A few other things we sold is the anti-roll bars. A bloke come down and apparently they go straight onto an MX-5, which is a bit of an upgrade. The headlights have gone, and to be honest with you, I think we have made a nice little profit, and obviously we've still got to send the shell to the scrapyard, so we'll get paid for that. Well, like I say, I sold the engine yesterday, and I got £450 for the engine alone, and it was a runner. It's on about 75k mileage. The rear subframe assembly we sold for 350. The wheels we sold for 200. Anti-roll bars were £50. Visors were £10 each. The airbag cover we sold for 20 quid. The rear boot we sold for £40. Headlights we sold for £40 for the pair. So, you know, we're into a profit. We bought the car for 600 quid, and now the catalytic converters are really good news on these. Really good news. Unfortunately, when it arrived, it had an aftermarket cat, which was worth about a tenner. It was a bit of a kick in the teeth, but somehow we've managed to break the car for parts, get me money back, gain a free gearbox and prop, and make a little bit of a profit. So I'm really pleased with that. Here's the gearbox. So it's a 6-speed gearbox. It's got the slave cylinder on it, gear knob, prop. So that will be ready to go into the Escort once we've changed the tunnel, got some mounts, got the adapter plate. Now I don't know if I'm going to go with cable clutch yet. Ideally, I'd like to spend the money and get a hydraulic clutch for peace of mind, self-adjusting, easier for daily driving. But we'll come to that, and we'll jump over that hurdle when it's there. We have to excuse the mess of the unit. Braking cars does get a little bit dirty. You know, you get fluids everywhere, tools get left out. But she's going to the scrapyard today, so we can have a good clean up. Also, another thing to note, I like to pull the wiring out the car. Battery, starter motor, alternator. And then what I do is I segregate that, put them in different boxes for the end of the year, and we get a little bit of a bonus at the end of the year. So what I'll do is I'll leave a little list or a slideshow which will see the figures on what I paid for it, how much money I've made. You know, you've got to remember I've gained myself a free gearbox here, so it's a bonus really, because, you know, for a complete gearbox with prop shaft, they go from about 250 quid on the gearbox alone, or if you want the full setup, they're about four and a half hundred quid. So it's always worthwhile, if you're going to do an RX8 swap, is to look for a complete car, even if it's got a tired engine and it's worn out, which most of them do. You know, you can break them because there is a following them from. You know, there's a lot of parts that people will pay good money for, and it's simple to do. You know, you just go onto eBay, you look at what people are selling parts for on eBay, and you just undercut them a bit. So you'd say, to say for the headlights, for instance, I see there was a pair on there for 50 quid. So I knocked a £5 each on each light, £40 for the pair. The bloke was more than happy. So yeah, it's always worth remembering, if you want to get a gearbox, RX8 gearbox, and you don't want to just shell out. I mean, if you've got the space, it does involve space as well. You need space and time to do it. I've had this car for about a week now, and it's taken probably about 8 hours at my time in the afternoons just to come down, pull the pieces off I need. I mean, the gearbox come out really easy. Simple thing to do. The engine, I pulled down on the whole subframe. So it's just undo the top mounts, undo the subframe bolts, drop it down, or lift the whole shell up on the shell. And I had the bottom of the engine propped up on the set of wheels there. I lifted it up, and then any coolant pipes and wiring that was attached, I just cut them off. So I definitely do recommend it. If you've got the space, you've got the time and the tools, do look for a cheap car that someone wants a little bit more than scrap, and you can gain yourself a free gearbox and also make a profit. So like I say, I'll leave a slideshow of the figures of what I paid, what I've got in return, and my profits on the shell, and then we'll go from there. JJ Recovery just removing the shell for us. That's ready to go to the bin. We'll see what it weighs when it goes. Right, so I just thought I'd cover some of my costs and my profits and what I sold on the RX8. You know, give you an idea of what I made, exact profit I made on it and everything. So I bought the car, like as mentioned, for £600, and my transportation fees through JJ Recovery was £105. And now that was collecting the car and bringing it to me. So that's Kent to Essex, the other end of Essex, Colchester way. And then once I stripped it all down, he then picked it up and took it to the local scrapyard, which I use NMR, Nationwide Metal Recycling. Top guys, best prices, you know, honest guys. So I definitely keep them in mind for when you're doing your scrap runs. But like I say anyway, it was £105 for my transportation fees for both ends. So that was it, that's all I paid. So he really looked after me there, good prices. He's always looked after me at JJ Recovery. So I'll leave a link in the description for any of your transportation needs. He goes all over UK, and you know, he's a really nice lad. He's got a couple of trucks on the road. So give him a shout if you need anything moved. So the things I sold: the subframe, the whole rear subframe unit with drive shafts, the calipers, all the arms, the differential. I sold that for 350 quid. I knew I'd get good money for it because it had the LSD. There's two types of these RX8s you can get. So you can get the 192 and you can get the 231, which I believe the differences are obviously the brake horsepower to start off with, but you get the different gearboxes in items. So 192 is the 5-speed, and then the 231 is the 6-speed box. The 231 comes with like an LSD, bigger anti-roll bars, comes essentially like a sports package. So if you are going to do it, depending on what box you want, I wanted to go with the 6-speed because it's more close ratio. They say anything with naturally aspirated, bit of a screamer, the 6-speed is one to go for. Or if you've got a turbo black top and the 5-speed is better for the turbo, so I'm just producing a bit more torque. So my, like I say, the subframe is 350. The engine, I sold that for 450 quid. I delivered that to you yesterday. I sold the wheels for 200 quid. They were really good condition. They had good tyres on, good brands. They were recently refurbished and it was a good job. They were powder coated, not just sprayed. So someone really took care. I think I found a receipt in the car that was £300 just for the refurbishment on the wheels. So going on, the headlights on the front, they were 40 quid. The anti-roll bars was quite an interesting one. I didn't know that they'd done 3 different types of anti-roll bars for them cars. So you get a yellow anti-roll bar, you get the orange and you get the red, and they're all thicker depending on the colour of them. Yellow being the stiffer, the thicker ones. I had a guy come down in an MX5 and apparently they're a good upgrade for an MX5. So you can take the anti-roll bars off an RX8 and put them onto your MX5, and that is like it's an upgrade, but like, saving you money in the long run. The visors, the sun visors, sold them for £10 each. So there's 2 of them, that's 20 quid. I sold the boot lid complete, £40. An airbag dash cover, that was 20 quid. And then I sold the front seats for £100 to a bloke who is putting them in an MR2. He come down, collected them on the weekends, had a nice chat with him. It was good. That's a good thing about breaking cars, is the people that you meet. They come down, they've always got a little story to tell, or what they're building, or showing the pictures. I do enjoy it. So I'm going on, I weighed the shell in, that weighed 700 kilos on the nose, and that was everything in that shell was from that shell. I didn't put no extra bits of my own stuff in there. That was anything that come from. So I remember I took the subframe, the gearbox, the engine, the front subframe off, and that shell still weighed 700 kilos. Well taking it, like I mentioned, is £150 a tonne. So I got £105 for what I got weighed in today. So the total sales was £1,290. Now I've taken that away from my costs, and that leaves me with a profit of £665, and that's in a week. I stripped it down in a week, and like I say, I've probably best part spent 8-9 hours tops, taking bits off after work, doing my little bits, and it's minimal. There really is no hard work involved, removing the engines. I just zipped the top mounts undone, had it up in the air on the ramp, done subframe bolts, and there's only 2 either side of that. Propped it up on a set of wheels and just lifted it up. It pulled on a few coolant lines, a few electrical lines, and I just went through with my ripsaw, cut it all out of the way and lifted the shell up. It took the best part of 20 minutes getting the engine out of that. Subframe, same thing again. It was down on the deck this time. I got a bit of wood with a jack, just propped it up, undone the bolts, lifted it up. The only thing was left to cut was the ABS speed sensor lines and the brake lines. I just nipped through them and it was out of the way. The gearbox probably take 15 minutes to remove. It's your prop shaft, it's your gearbox mount, and then it's your Bellhausen rigger bolts around the engine. Once you drop that gearbox mount, the whole gearbox tilts down like this, and you're able to get round the top, get round the bottom of it as you would, and once it's off, you just pull it off and slap it on the floor. I mean, I made good money on it, £665 profit with a free gearbox, prop shaft, and everything I need to do the conversion. I could have gone out and spent 300 quid someone else breaking it, buying the gearbox, not knowing the history, how it drove. But that's the benefit of it. When I got the car, I got to drive it. I got to feel how that gearbox worked. You know, it wasn't notchy, crunchy or anything like that. It was smooth as you like. So that was the benefit of buying the car and breaking it myself. And then it's the other bits around it. You got to remember that shell weighed 700 kilos, but I already pulled the battery out of it. I had all the cable, and there's a lot of cable in them Mazdas. It runs all the way to the back, both sides. When I'm talking cables that fat, you know, a bunch of them all wound together. So, you know, I just pull them off, I get what I can out, I stick it in the bin, and that goes in the bonus fund at the end of the year. You know, we all know what the prices are for copper. They make mega money. Batteries, they're about £600–700 a ton. It takes about 65 batteries to get a ton, maybe 70. But you gotta profit where you can, because there's good money in braking. Like I said before, if you've got the time, you've got the space, and it's not even, if you've got a spare parking space on the driveway, get it up on axle stands. You don't need a lift to do all this sort of stuff. It's just, I'm lucky to have one. I've got a garage, I pay for it myself. It's there ready to use, but I do a lot of it in my spare time braking, and that's how I pretty much pay for the Escort shell and everything like that. So it's definitely something I would think about doing. And of course, you've got to remember, if it had the original manufactured catalytic converter on it, we would have been even more quids in. We would have an extra £650–700 in the pocket. Unfortunately, this one had an aftermarket cat, but it's no big deal. I wasn't sweating. I knew that I was going to have the interest in the car. You know, Facebook Marketplace is an awesome tool to use to break cars. You just join loads of groups. You join the RX8 Owners Club. I had so many messages, you know. Yeah, you might get the odd messer come through, have you got this available, or speaking to you in a different language. That's no problem. You just be polite. You message them back, you say, yes, I have got it, or you ain't. You give them your price. If they don't want to buy it, they don't buy it. But you'll be surprised at how many people do want to turn up and pay you cash for the items they want. You know, you don't take the mickey with things. You know, you look on eBay, like I said earlier, you look on eBay and you cross-reference it with the prices on there. You see what the breakers are charging. For example, the headlights, they wanted 50 quid for the pair of them, so we just knocked a tenner, £5 each off. You sell them for 40 quid, and that's cash in your pocket. It's a no-brainer. So I'm pleased that I got, you know, £665 profit. I'll definitely do it again. I'm possibly thinking of getting one next week that I've been offered. So I'll try and get a video on that. For the next video, we are looking to get the panels delivered. So I've purchased the panels of Magnum panels, and I've spoke to them direct. I did try and get a discount code through them, and they don't deal with individuals. They're a supplier to the trade only. So I am working on speaking with companies, trying to get discount codes for the subscribers, you know, trying to make our lives a little bit easier. But Magnum Panels have agreed to give me a very, very large discount on the panels that I need. They've really helped me out. Stuart, I've been speaking to Stuart, and he's blinded man. He's really stuck his neck out on the line to help us out getting the panels that we need to carry on with this project. So as soon as they're here, we are going to start tackling the front end, and then we'll move to the back. But I'll keep you updated. Please like, subscribe and share. Give us a thumbs up, give us a thumbs down. Comments are, you know, more than welcome. I'm always replying to people, so if you want to have a chat, any advice, let us know, especially about breaking the cars. And we'll always give us the best shot to speak to everyone. You know, it's one of them. Now, I'm going to leave this here. I'll be back very soon. And thank you for all the last subscribers on my last video. Absolutely great. Thank you so much. Thank you for all the views. It's really brilliant. It's made my day, and it's given me a right kick up the bum to get this project moving and to make more videos. But until then, I'll see you later. Mark 2 Ben.